We can hear the explosions. We can hear the Israeli Navy also participating in the shelling.
Israel has a right to defend itself.
أختي ميسة بس وحدة؟ وماما وبابا؟ بابا ما عرفت وينه كان في الدار؟ هاي بابا برا ماما بقى جوا ماما؟ بابا أدري يا بابا أنا
More anguish and now more death. A scene all too familiar here and sadly almost inevitable, where a series of events have brought tensions to boiling point.
At least 9 people have died in Israel and more than 130 in Gaza.
The United States understood that Israel had not only the right but the obligation to defend itself.
Israel has a right to defend itself.
Wow, Israel is defending itself, guys. Israel is defending itself. We have 132 people killed in Gaza, civilians, including children. And on the other hand, we have 9 people killed in Israel. So this is self-defense. 132 people dead on the ground, 132 lives ended. That is in the name of self-defense. This is how Israel defends itself, by aiming at civilian buildings and civilian territories, targeting, singling out children, and they have a wonderful excuse for it too.
Because what Hamas wants to do is have a lot of civilian casualties, and they use this strategy of human shields for a reason, because they think it works. They think that Israel will be blamed for these civilian casualties.
So Israel aims to kill every single Palestinian man, woman, and child because Hamas uses Palestinian men, women, and children as human shields. That's a great justification for genocide, Israelis. So you're ethnically cleansing the Palestinian people because you're defending yourself. So anybody who talks about Israel's genocidal war crimes and mass murdering is actually supporting the terrorists. Okay, well, let's examine this for just a second. Okay, Hamas is a terrorist organization. We get that. All of us get this. So Hamas is a terrorist organization that is aiming at Israeli civilians. So if that's what Hamas is doing, okay, a terrorist organization, Hamas is responsible for firing rockets at innocent Israeli civilians, which is being intercepted by Israel's state-of-the-art Iron Dome technology. But what is IDF doing? The not-so-terrorist organization? They are aiming at civilian population, minors, kids, and Palestinian kids are literally getting blown to pieces. Civilians, men, women, and children, unarmed, are being bombarded by the IDF. So if Hamas is a terrorist organization for firing rockets at civilians, so by that logic, wouldn't IDF be an even bigger terrorist for killing literal civilians that has nothing to defend themselves with? And every time they come up with the justification that, Hamas uses Palestinians as human shields. So Israel's solution to that is wipe out every single Palestinian, man, woman, and child, because Hamas uses Palestinian men, women, and children as human shields. So that's their solution. Ethnic cleansing, literal genocide of the Palestinian people is the solution to Hamas using them as human shields. Okay, let me ask you just a simple question. You blow up this building, right? So what if this building was full of Israeli Jews instead of Palestinian Muslims? This is an Israeli Jew populated area full of Israelis, and let's just say there's one Hamas scumbag in that area. So would you rather bomb the shit out of the entire area, out of all the buildings, including all the Jewish, all the Israelis in that building? No, you wouldn't. But what do you do when there are Palestinians living in that building? I thought so. Kind of shows you double standards. They are just terrorists with an excuse. Here's the thing. People who are angry about what Israel is doing to the Palestinians, they are not angry because the defense forces are killing terrorists. If Israelis kill terrorists, then nobody has any objection to that. Everybody is in for eradicating terrorists. They're not only killing terrorists, in fact, they're not killing terrorists at all. What we are seeing in the news, we are only seeing civilians, including mostly children, being bombed, being blown to pieces. That's literally what's happening. We are witnessing the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people, and it's something that people like Ben Shapiro and people who are charming the right-wing conservatives into stirring more hatred towards the Palestinians will never admit. They have absolutely no regard for the deaths of the Palestinian people. And yes, the few people who are being killed by Hamas firing rockets, personally absolutely condemn this. An act of terrorism is an act of terrorism. Israeli people who died, it's tragedy. But on the other hand, you have 132 people, all civilians, in Gaza, dead in the ground. So if that's tragic, this is even more tragic. And this is something that people like Ben Shapiro will never admit. This is another thing as well with villainizing, criminalizing, and dehumanizing of the Palestinian people is something that is very similar to what happened to the Jews during World War II under Nazi rule. See, Hitler and the Nazis, they dehumanized, they spread hatred, they spread this type of vile type of anti-Semitism that would result in Germans having no remorse, no mercy whatsoever when their Jewish neighbors were getting killed, were getting put into concentration camps. They were brainwashed to such a level that they forgot how to feel empathy towards their Jewish neighbors. This is exactly what's happening here with the Palestinian people. And anybody who talks about the mass murdering genocide that is being done by the Israeli government is an anti-Semite. Okay, so I'm speaking against the horrible, heinous acts of genocide against the Palestinian people, and I am being completely anti-Semitic here. Okay, listen. Anybody who talks about the war crimes committed by Israel is an anti-Semite. So I personally have a lot of respect for Jewish people and the Jewish religion. I think the Jewish people went through a lot of oppression. Now you imagine you're a Jew living in Nazi Germany and you escape Auschwitz and you escape the Holocaust. You come to a foreign land and then your children, the next generation of Jews, committing those same acts of oppression to other innocent groups of people. If you're a Jew and if you support this, if you are a Jew and if you support what Israel is doing, then you are doing a disservice and you're dishonoring and being a disgrace to your Jewish ancestors who went through those same type of oppressions and you doing the same oppressions to other groups of people. Is it really so hard to understand that history is repeating itself? I mean, IDF, the Israeli government, are committing the same acts of genocide, the same kind of ethnic cleansing, the same type of oppression that the Nazis applied to the Jewish people. This is literally that. And people are dehumanizing Palestinians. People like Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, all these right-wing, absolutely fascistic, fascist genocide sympathizers who are standing with Israel and calling anybody anti-Semites racist for speaking against it. I know and I fully understand that absolutely no one will watch this till the end. I doubt that even 2 people will watch this video this far, but I still felt obligated to speak up against this oppression that has been going on because the Prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, once said that if you see oppression happening before your eyes, then protest with your hand. If you can't protest with your hand, then protest with your voice. If you can't protest with your voice, then curse in your heart. So I am doing what I can to speak up against the oppression that is happening. Here's some background history about the Jews. The Jews were wiped out of Judea. They were driven out of Jerusalem around 70 AD. And they were not allowed back into Jerusalem until Umar ibn Khattab, the second caliph of Islam, radiallahu anhu, and companion of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, after conquering Jerusalem from the Romans, he felt obligated to allow the Jews back into Jerusalem. So the only reason Jews are able to come and colonize and ethnically cleanse the Arabs from Palestine is because the Arabs allowed it. The Arabs, the Muslims, allowed it. The Arabs did not wipe out the Jews. They did not drive the Jews out of Jerusalem. It was the Romans. The Romans drove the Jews out of Jerusalem. But the Arabs allowed them back in, and now they're kicking out the Arabs from their own land. Talk about hypocrisy. And I felt obliged to speak up against all of this that is happening against the Palestinian people. I am 100% for Palestinian lives. Palestinians are being killed, and their lives and their deaths don't even deserve a mention in the mouths of those who are so adamantly, blindly supporting Israel that they don't realize that they're supporting mass murder and genocide, as if the lives and deaths of the Palestinians don't matter, but they do to people like us. So if you agree with me, if you like what I said, if you want to hit the like button, then hit the like button. If you want to hit the dislike button, hit the dislike button, and share your thoughts, share your opinions down in the comments section. And if you think that this message of mine is worth listening to and is worth sharing with your friends, then share this message with your friends. Share this message with as many people as you possibly can. Nothing would make me happier than to know that I made a difference in the lives of the Palestinian people. I'm raising my voice, I'm speaking up, and so should every single one of you who is watching this video. If you have any sort of social media, if you have, be it Twitter, be it Facebook, be it Instagram, be it YouTube, whatever leverage you have, whatever platform you have, never stay silent. Always speak up. Always raise your voice against the atrocious, malicious oppression that the Palestinian people are going through. Remember, we are all enslaved. We are all criminals until Palestine is free. If you think that my videos benefit you in any way, if you want to support me, then you can, of course, support me by subscribing to my channel. And this is going to be it. Thank you for watching the whole video, and I'll see you guys next time.